Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars, and let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 2-hour time frame, because right now we have a warning signal flashing in the immediate short term. Now, this isn't truly confirmed yet, but we do have the potential for a bearish divergence confirming here sometime soon. Now, in the case that you don't know, a bearish divergence is when you have higher highs in the Bitcoin price and lower highs in the RSI momentum indicator. Typically, a bearish divergence plays out either in the form of some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum, especially in a scenario like this. It is helpful for actually resetting the RSI back to around this 50 level. So for now, like I said, this isn't confirmed yet, but absolutely something to keep an eye on here in the short term. Something that is noteworthy though is that right here on the 4-hour time frame, we do not have any bearish divergence because we simply have a higher high in the Bitcoin price and a higher high in the RSI momentum indicator. So there is no divergence here whatsoever. Therefore, there is a difference between this immediate short term on the 2-hour time frame and this 4-hour time frame as well. In fact, right now there is a case to be made on this 4-hour time frame that so long as we are holding above this ascending trend line and so long as we are holding above 117k on a candle closing basis, then this is actually still looking very bullish for Bitcoin, because we are simply experiencing extreme amounts of bullish momentum here on the lower time frames, and we just broke another critical area of resistance. So therefore, so long as we're holding above this and just flipping this into a level of support, that is all still looking good for Bitcoin. But if we now end up breaking this level, guys, especially with that bearish divergence that I showed you on the lower time frames, then we could see a bit of a short-term cool off in order to reset that RSI from the overbought territory that we are currently in. For example, seeing a reset down to around this 50 level. In some extreme cases, like for example, we are in a pretty steep uptrend at the moment. Sometimes you will see a reset like this, where the RSI does reset from overbought territory. However, it isn't a full reset back to around this 50 level. Instead, it is just a short-term reset and then just shoots into overbought territory once again. So there are some nuances here, but either way, it is still good to know that there are some warning signals starting to show up on those lower time frames. And another thing that is absolutely critical to keep an eye on here is this 1-day candle close that we are about to get, because so far we do still have this candle above 117k as I'm recording this video. But notice how on the right hand side here, it is still going to be another 3.5 hours or so before this candle actually closes. Now, if we're closing below 117k, then that is not looking great, because we're closing this candle right inside this level of resistance, which is setting from 115k all the way up to 117k. And besides that, we would also not be making a new higher high in the Bitcoin price, leaving the door open for a full-on rejection here and possibly the start of a downtrend. Now, it doesn't have to be that severe. If we simply get the candle close above, we close above this trend line here and don't have to worry about some kind of rejection from this level once again, then that is all fine. But I will check back in with this in tomorrow's video when we simply have more answers, because right now this is still not clear and we do need to see some candle closes above here, which would actually confirm the technical uptrend for Bitcoin from that point onward. Either way, like I said, I will check back in with this tomorrow. Now I'm quickly going to look at this 2-day time frame. Not much has actually changed. This is still just a sideways range. However, on this 3-day time frame, we do have this ascending line of support and this descending line of resistance. This is, of course, what we call a symmetrical triangle pattern, but right now we are actually starting to see the break out of this symmetrical triangle pattern. Now, if you like these longer term type of patterns, I know that this is a very popular thing to take a look at. If you open your Twitter or your X account, This is probably one of the first things you see if you are on crypto Twitter a lot. But either way, for me personally, I don't find these things to be very tradable, especially a symmetrical triangle like this, because you tend to see a lot of fake outs and chop around this point of the breakout. So for me personally, at least, this pattern isn't something that I would want to be trading. Either way, in about 2 days here, we are getting the candle close for this 3-day time frame. So at that point, we can properly confirm if this thing is actually breaking out or if we are just going to see some kind of fake out and chop around the point of the breakout here. Like I said, I will check back in with this over the next couple days. Now, let's quickly move on to the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, because yesterday we saw another massive inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs of about $430 million. So right now we are seeing some massive inflows. And of course, as you saw over the last 2 days here, this is having a massive upwards pressuring effect on the Bitcoin price. Now, lastly, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, first of all, on this 2-week time frame, because right now we do have massive liquidity to the upside at around 119K still. And earlier today, we took out another massive pocket of liquidity around this 116.7K level as well. But as I zoom out to this 1-year time frame, guys, here you can see that we are getting very, very close to actually taking out that massive level of liquidity around 119, 120K that I showed you earlier in this video. And as I've been saying over and over again in my videos, I am no longer targeting this 107K level until we get some kind of clear rejection or clear bearish confirmation on the higher time frames. And so far, we do not have that in place. So therefore, I'm still just targeting this 120K level. Although, like I said, in the short term, there are some potential warning signals that are starting to show up soon. So that's just something to keep an eye on. Overall, right now, we're obviously still just in an uptrend, and there are no clear warning signals yet on this 4-hour time frame either. It is just a matter of keeping an eye on that, as well as this 1-day time frame, to see where we are getting this candle close. So hopefully this video has been concise and clear. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on if you haven't already. Either way, if you do end up doing that or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.